Hey there everyone, I'm meteorologist Cassie Nall and this is your 10 weather impact recap for the week. Let's start with a look at some of the top weather stories from around the country. The National Weather Service is working to hire back hundreds of positions that were laid off or otherwise cut by the Trump administration earlier this year. But the effort is progressing at a snail's pace as the nation heads into the winter season. Of the 450 positions open in late July, only about 80 final job offers have been accepted for meteorologists, hydrologists, and other specialized staff. Earlier this year, roughly 550 positions were cut by the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, and currently there are more than a dozen forecast offices dealing with significant staff vacancies. Lawmakers and citizens have raised concerns about how the staffing shortages would impact public safety and potentially undermine the accuracy of forecasts and warnings. A spokesperson for NOAA said the National Weather Service is properly staffed to keep communities informed and is ready for the winter season. In the state of Washington, heavy rainfall caused historic flooding and numerous landslides over the last 7 days. What made last week's event so impactful wasn't just the amount of rain that fell, but that the mild air associated with the atmospheric river brought rain to the high elevations of the mountains, melting the existing snowpack and adding even more water to the already swollen rivers. The region had a short break in the active weather, but 3 more atmospheric rivers are expected to reach the West Coast over the next week. And while parts of the Pacific Northwest have been pummeled by storms, businesses in California's Sierra Nevada are wishing for some wintry weather. At a time of year when ski areas are usually packed with visitors, there's more sun than snow and more shorts than snow boots. Denzen Cortez shares how one town is making the best of the mild conditions.
I've been here for more than 1/3 of the entire history of this town. The week before I was born, it was 25 degrees below zero.
It's safe to say Greg Zerbil knows Chucky cold.
In 1890 are the 2 largest on this snowpack chart.
You can talk about the history of it nonstop.
When all you had was the train here before the roads are plowed during the winter, right? If you didn't live near the railroad, it was pretty hard to get out of here.
But this winter, much different than years past.
Usually this is one of the busiest weeks of the year coming up here between Christmas and New Year's. People aren't rushing up here to go skiing. Now they're running in shorts.
A Tahoe Dave ski rental.
It's December 11th though. Should we be jogging?
You could be jogging in town.
Assistant manager Kevin Dupuy donning his shorts instead of ski pants. As minimal snow means minimal business.
But we are hoping that we get a little bit of a storm during the holidays, kind of just get people more amped up to come out and go skiing, all that sort of good stuff.
As the holidays quickly approach, businesses hoping for a Christmas miracle of more snow to bring in more customers.
This time of year is typically slow anyway, so we're just a little bit jumping the gun a little bit with the craziness. You know, 1 3-day storm and everything has changed.
We should be skiing, we should be hiking stuff, but it's just part of it. Can't make it snow.
Can't make it snow.
Or you can try your best.
Now this next story sounds like a wilderness survival scenario straight out of a movie. A man trapped in quicksand in the middle of a Utah national park. The search and rescue team's drone captured the moment they pulled him out of the mud. Morgan Chesky has the story.
In Utah, an eye in the sky likely saving one hiker's life. This drone footage capturing the man trying to dig himself out of quicksand.
We're talking like the consistency of wet concrete.
Rescuers racing to a remote canyon deep inside Arches National Park. The crew finding Austin Dirks trapped, his legs locked in near freezing temps. Fearful of being grabbed themselves, rescuers use stretchers, shovels, and a ladder to help get Dirks to firm ground.
How quickly can this quicksand grab you?
It's got a good bite. It's the more people struggle, the deeper they go.
Experts say incidents are rare.
Stay back, Gilligan, it's quicksand!
More often seen on screen in TV shows or movies like Indiana Jones.
Grab the rope!
The biggest threat in this case was the cold weather, to be submerged, even partially, in that near freezing water was the biggest concern.
Dirk's GPS device giving rescuers precise coordinates on where to find him.
Having a device that can communicate via satellite can sometimes mean the difference between life and death.
A rescue operation gone right after a rare but dangerous threat.
Being there for someone in their time of need is one of the things that keeps me coming back to this job.
Morgan Chesky, NBC News.
CAL FIRE is reviewing how it handled a massive surprise fire event back in September. More than 150 fires, all starting within a 2-day period. Brady Halbib shares more on what they've learned.
It was almost like the wrath of God was coming down.
26,000 lightning strikes in just 2 days, sparking 157 fires across California. That's what firefighters were faced in early September when a fast-moving fire burned through homes, including the town of Chinese Camp in Tuolumne County. Now, more than 3 months later, CAL FIRE is laying out a detailed timeline of what happened and their response.
The fire hit hard.
The day before the fires, the National Weather Service warned of valley heat, dry fuels, and a slight chance of thunderstorms. Fires started popping up across Tuolumne, Calaveras, San Joaquin, and Stanislaus counties in different fuel types and terrain, making it nearly impossible to attack them all at once.
The thing that really struck, I think, a lot of people was the volume of lightning strikes, the volume of resources that were involved up and down the Central Valley.
The most notable, the 6.5 fire and the 2.7 Murphy's fire, both started around the same time and spread quickly. The 6.5 fire alone grew to more than 7,000 acres and at one point was labeled no divert, meaning aircraft could not be used. One volunteer fire captain in Chinese Camp spent 40 straight hours on a water tender, battling flames and heavy smoke.
When I was driving through there, I couldn't see the road. It was so intense.
CAL FIRE says they face a number of challenges: limited resources, rapid fire near homes, and a second round of thunderstorms, producing erratic and dangerous winds. When asked about what they could have done differently, CAL FIRE said that the weather was an anomaly, but communication could always be improved.
I'm not sure we can plan for a once every 30-year event and have complete success like we've tried to, right? But I would say that all the measures that show on the other fires is to maintain at least what we have to support what you're saying.
Fighting fire with water. That's how it usually works. But what about fighting fire for water? Brad Hicks shares a unique effort underway to protect the water supply in northern Arizona.
These are ponderosa pine.
Ben Aragon orchestrates logging.
First we cut the trees.
Like a symphony in the forest.
And then we skid them, strip them, and haul them to the wood yard.
His crew has been sent into these Arizona woods by SRP.
We're the largest water provider in the Phoenix metropolitan area. The source of the water actually comes from 2 major river systems in Arizona.
And in the upper reaches of those rivers, the utility is on a quest to clear the ponderosas to protect the water.
All these small trees that are packed in incredibly dense are creating fuel for catastrophic wildfires.
Thinning will reduce the flammable fuel so fires regenerate instead of ravage the landscape.
When you have that high severity wildfire, you're impacting the soils, where you're searing them so much that the water from rain and snow can't absorb.
And the ash ends up in reservoirs, which reduces how much water they can hold.
Those are our long-term water storage supplies. They are the lifeblood of the Phoenix metropolitan area.
And there may be another benefit, more hidden.
Forest thinning helps us reduce wildfire, and we're trying to get, does it also benefit the water supply?
Trees take up a lot of water, so when a tree is removed, rain and snowmelt may soak into the soil instead. Or, since the area is no longer shaded, it may just evaporate under the sun.
How does the removal of a tree impact where the water ends up? The hydrological model will tell us this amount of water did not leave through the tree, it stayed in the soil. And eventually it becomes the water supply for a downstream city.
SRP is the only utility in America with a long-term forest plan like this. They'll thin more than 1,000 square miles. Music to Ben Aragon's ears.
I know it's doing good for the environment.
In northern Arizona, Brad Hicks reporting.
The United Nations has unveiled a new tool to help countries cut down on pollution, and it was created by a student at the University of California in Berkeley. Begad Shaban has the story.
This one website you designed could have worldwide implications.
Yeah, if all goes well.
Sam Pottinger is a senior data scientist at UC Berkeley and the lead developer of a new online tool for the United Nations and its nearly 200 member countries.
I've just been really excited that my craft as a mathematician and as a computer scientist can have an environmental impact as well.
The free website is designed to help countries come up with ways to reduce pollution. specifically harmful greenhouse gases that can contribute to climate change, which causes extreme weather conditions such as heat waves, droughts, and rising sea levels. These global warming gases are a byproduct of chemicals we regularly use to cool down our homes, cars, and massive data centers that are continually popping up to power the world's growing demand for AI.
What the tool allows countries to do is look at inventories of how much of these different substances that they're using right now, and then apply different policies on top of that business as usual scenario to see how those different policy options might change the future.
The interactive tool relies on mathematical models to act as a sort of crystal ball, giving countries a glimpse into their environmental future if they continue on their current path, or decide to implement changes, like recycling, or new permitting programs to phase out certain harmful chemicals.
So before actually implementing anything, countries can actually test out certain policies with this tool to see what kind of change could actually happen.
Yeah, and that's really important because there are many different ways to go about achieving these objectives.
It was 2 years ago when Pottinger and his team at Berkeley designed a similar tool focused on plastic pollution and different policy changes that could help countries reduce that kind of waste. But when presenting the idea at a United Nations meeting in Kenya, the UN took notice and asked Berkeley to create a comparable program targeting greenhouse gases.
It's a tremendous opportunity.
Balaji Natarajan is a senior program management officer with the United Nations. He says the kind of environmental planning the tool provides has historically taken weeks or even longer. But with the new website, the process, he adds, can now be done in just a few hours, which is a game changer, he says, particularly for less resourced countries struggling to reduce pollution levels.
It empowers the country. They are not dependent on somebody else coming and advising them what you should do.
The tool allows countries to craft pollution plans years or even decades into the future.
At the end of the day, knowing that I was able to use my craft to make a positive impact on the environment has been life-fulfilling.
A soon-to-be global impact that began with one researcher, a whole lot of math, and a college campus known for innovation.
Winter officially begins this Sunday with the solstice at 10:03 a.m. But what exactly happens during the winter solstice? The reason for the seasons is the Earth's tilt, and coming into winter, the North Pole is tilting away from the sun. This gives the southern hemisphere its longest days of the year and leaves the northern hemisphere with its longest nights. The exact moment that the sun's rays are most direct on the furthest point south on the Earth's surface before moving back north is called the winter solstice. Now, once we pass that solstice, our daylight hours will begin to increase each day. First by a few seconds and then by minutes, getting longer until we reach the summer solstice in June. Now, something you may have noticed during the fall season is the lowering of lake levels around East Tennessee. For example, Douglas Lake is currently almost 40 feet lower now than it was at the beginning of summer. By the averages, winter and spring are our two wettest seasons of the year. So during the fall, the Tennessee Valley Authority allows the water levels to drop to create flood storage space in anticipation of the winter and spring rain events. They follow an operation guide for each lake, which you can find on their website. During the spring, they will allow the lakes to fill again, aiming to reach summer pool by the end of May for the summer recreation season. And now let's get a check of your 7-day forecast. We are going to be seeing the ups and downs of early winter continue here in East Tennessee. Highs get back near 60 degrees on Thursday with some strong gusty winds and potential for some heavy rain. We'll be cooler again on Friday, then back above average as we go into the weekend. And there you can see winter begins on Sunday with a mild start to the new season as we go into next week. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, you can always get the latest in the forecast with the 10 News app. It's free to download in the App Store.